Welcome to the fourth part of our Maintaining Freedom Academy. And in this session, we're going to be talking about your appetite, or rather, your what's the word? Your diet and your health. Okay, so this is a reasonably well-known area of how we can sort of help to look after ourselves. But before we get into it, I'd like to say that as with the rest of this course, it'll be really easy to try to control your world by controlling every single thing that goes into your body, and then like really trying to control all of your diet to the nth degree, which almost slips into another broken mindset, another area of control, another sort of thing, like uh, almost like you can almost have like an eating disorder without realizing you got an eating disorder. If you're going from one diet to the next, and you got like all these different fads that you have going on, or if you're just like so like big on dieting, sometimes you can be really unhealthy in that. And I've seen lots of people go through that sort of stuff. And I wanted to say that everything should be in moderation. Okay, so controlling is of the enemy, moderation is of God. I love that. Yeah, controlling is of the enemy, moderation is of God. So we need to have moderation in the way that we look after our body and our health. Okay, and so there's lots of different types of health as well. We need to have moderation in the way that we eat, in the way that we exercise. And believe me, like, mate, I've been to the edge of like lifting some silly weights before, and then I started eating like chicken and protein shakes every half an hour because I just got really into it. And I wouldn't necessarily say that I was addicted or anything like that, but I just wanted to get bigger and bigger. And I think at some point I just sort of decided that I wasn't going to do that anymore. And so I started going to a gym, and believe it or not, I've kept some muscle. I've changed my diet a little bit. I don't eat so many carbs nowadays, but instead of just getting rid of carbs totally, I now half carb is what I call it. So I have some carbs, but only half as much what I normally have. I'll be honest with you. I like the stuff that isn't carbs anyway. So it's a bit of a bonus. Half carb in diet. It's a great way to get out of eating stuff I don't want to eat. I hate chips anyway. For me, I did go teetotal when I first became a Christian. I stopped drinking totally. I stopped drinking any alcohol at all for about 18 months. And then I felt like the Lord said He'd set me free. And that stopping altogether wasn't freedom, it was control. And so I started having a beer every now and again. And I believe that I live in moderation in that. Laura might not agree. Sometimes I like to have a whole bottle of wine, or even one and a half on a really rough week, if I'm totally honest with you. But that's sort of what I mean. I'm no longer a slave to alcohol. I'm not a slave for it, and I'm not a slave against it. I'm in freedom. I'm living in freedom. I live in moderation. Then you've got the whole thing about sexual health. So to have asexual life, or some like sexuality, is healthy. To have that in moderation is healthy. To completely dismiss it and never ever talk about it, that's unhealthy. In fact, it's really unhealthy for your children, because if you don't talk about sexuality, and if you hide all of sexuality from them, they're going to have to go and find it themselves and learn about it themselves. And inevitably, that'll probably end up in a nightclub somewhere with some person who maybe isn't good for them. And so we have to be in moderation with our sexual health as well. We have to sort of like talk about sexuality a little bit, and we need to like explore that together sometimes. Obviously, you know, in a good way, not an unhealthy way, and with the right people, or the right person rather. But the point is that there is modesty in all things to do with health. So we can have modesty in our exercise. We can have modesty in our diet. We can have modesty in our sexual health. We can have modesty in our emotional health as well. Just to cut people off totally isn't healthy. That's not a healthy lifestyle. That's not that's not moderate. That's not godly. That's control again. You understand? Hopefully, I'm getting there. Um, The Bible says to be at peace with everyone. Romans 12 says, be at peace with everyone as far as it's possible on your end. So as far as you are concerned, you should be at peace with all people. And so to be at peace with all people means that you're living in the freedom that Christ has for you. Because that's a good, healthy, relational standpoint, isn't it? So you should be healthy in your relationships too. You can see how health has a massive standing in terms of your happiness and your ability to grow in God. And He wants you to have freedom in your health. He doesn't want you to be captive. He doesn't want you to be controlling when it comes to your health and well-being. There's so much more to talk about. And I'll be honest with you, I'm trying to keep these reasonably short. The last session went on a little bit. I hope I've sort of helped you to understand some of this stuff. And maybe if you'd like to know more about this, then we can chat some more. But we should be healthy and we should look after our health in lots of different health paradigms. We need to watch our appetites. We need to watch our appetite for love. We need to watch our appetite for drama in our relationships. We need to watch our appetite in sexual stuff. We need to watch our appetite in with our food, and we need to watch our appetite in terms of how skinny we get or how fit we get. We need to watch our appetite every which way. And all too often, like I said before, we can turn something that is ungodly into something that looks godly but is still ungodly. So to say my body is a temple, so I'm never going to drink, that's ungodly control. To say my body is a temple and so I'm going to have the best diet and my BMI is going to be perfect, that's ungodly control framed in the godly wording. To say, I won't speak anything filthy ever, and so I'm never going to talk about sex in front of anyone. That's an ungodly, controlling mindset. That's of the enemy. The Bible talks about sex loads. Reasonably loads. My point is, we shouldn't be controlling. We shouldn't be using godly talk to cover up our controlling nature and our contracts that we still have with the enemy. We need to live in freedom. Hope this has helped, and I'll see you in the next session.